Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday to you. If you're watching this today, happy voting day. We're going to talk a little bit about the elections in a couple minutes, but we're here to look at the names of God and what the elections have to do with the names of God. We'll get there in a couple minutes. Today, we're going to be in two different places. We're going to be in Exodus chapter 17 and Ephesians chapter 6. So, if you want to find those two places, we're going to be in Ephesians 6 more than Exodus. So, if you want to turn to Ephesians 6, that would probably be better. As you turn there, we're in week 2 of our study on the names of God. And in the Hebrew Bible, there's different names of God. But in the English Bible, we have it written as Lord, big L, big O, big R, big D. Or we have Lord, big L, little O, R, D. Or we have Lord as big L and then the smaller caps O, R, D. Each one of those means something different, which is what started this study on the names of God. We looked at God as creator, the all powerful one, the name Elohim. We looked at God as the name Jehovah, which means I am the self existent one. We looked at God as the name of Adonai, which means the great Lord. And then we looked at God as his name Yahweh from Exodus chapter 3, verse 14, and that means I am, and that's his personal name and his intimate name. Now, from yesterday's study, we need to remember that the Jewish people wouldn't call or didn't want to call God Yahweh because that was his personal name. And they didn't want to be misrepresenting his name or disrespectful of his name or bring impurity to his name because that was his personal name. So they made another name, Jehovah, to go after that. And then through the Old Testament, they used the name Jehovah, meaning I am, and then they put other names to it. So yesterday we started by saying we have Jehovah Salom, which really translated means I am, Jehovah, I am, and then Salom means peace. Well, today we're going to look at the name Jehovah, I am, and it's Nissi, which means the banner. So let's go ahead. By now, you should be in Ephesians chapter 6. Let me set this up now, okay? Very few people start a game and hope to lose. Whenever I begin to play a game, whether it's athletics or right now Hannah's learning chess, and she's actually pretty good. I don't set out to hopefully lose to my 8 year old little girl. I want to go out and beat her. I don't want to crush her, but yet I don't want to lose because I'm a competitive person. Few people want to start a game and lose. Few people would not participate if they could be guaranteed a win. If you and I were playing a game and I looked at you, I said, I guarantee that you'll win, you would play. How would life be different for you if you knew that you could achieve a victory? That's where we're going to lean in and learn about God's name, Jehovah Nissi, which means I am banner or I am the banner. If we go back to Exodus chapter 17, this name given to God or by God was given at the altar by Moses after he defeated the Amalekites. And Moses had this great victory, and he realized that this victory over the physical enemies of Israel was only given by God and it was only from God, and God should get the credit. Isaiah prophesies that Jesus will stand as a banner for his people. Jesus will stand as victory for his people. Now, God gives us victory against the flesh, the world, and the devil. Now, our battles that we fight are battles against light and darkness, against good and evil. Now, God defeated the enemies of Israel because they were physical enemies, but God also has defeated our enemies, and our enemies aren't necessarily physical that we can see. Ours are spiritual, and that's where we're going to lean into Ephesians chapter 6. Ephesians 6, verses 10 through 18 tells us that our battle is not against flesh and blood, but it's against the principalities and rulers of this world. And then it leans in to say that we need to put on the full armor of God. And sometime I have it on my whiteboard that we need to look at the armor of God. And the armor is very interesting because it is a defense line for us when we walk into battle. We are never to turn and run away. All of our defenses are in front of us because we need to walk into battle knowing that Jesus has won the victory. Now, I want to stop and make sure I don't give you like a prosperity gospel and just say, hey, Jesus is going to give us victory and just think good things. But we need to live in light that Christ has given us and accomplished the victory for us, not because of how good we are, but because of how great Christ is, and because of what he did on the cross, and that resurrection from the dead sealed the victory. It says in 1 Corinthians 15, where, O death, is your victory? Where, O death, is your sting? Christ came, he defeated death because he was able to rise from the dead, because he never did anything wrong. When we have this relationship with Christ, we have knowledge knowing that God gives us the victory because the tomb was empty and because death has been defeated. And we can walk in going, I may not know exactly what happens, but having in light of eternity, I'm going to win the battle. So today's a very big day. I'm excited and I am relieved that today is voting day because it's been a long campaign season and there's just been this spirit of unknowing, of not knowing what's going to happen. And as you walk through today's voting day, regardless of the candidate who you vote for, whether he or she wins or he or she loses, whether it's the presidential or the Senate or the House, whatever candidate you're voting for, regardless of who wins tomorrow or if we have to wait a few days, regardless of who wins the election, we can walk away having victory knowing that we have Christ who defeated death on the cross. And that should give us a peace and a comfort during a time of not knowing. So, the question I have for you today is, are you walking today in victory? Are you walking today knowing that Jesus or Jehovah Nissi, that God is your banner, that God has given you victory because of your relationship with Christ? If you're not walking in victory, what's stopping you from walking in victory? Maybe you don't know and you need to have a conversation. I would love to be the one that you talk with, but if you would rather talk to someone else, find someone that's going to point you to the cross of Christ and the empty tomb, and that will give you victory. Hope you have a great Tuesday, and I will see you back here Wednesday morning for another name of God. Have a great day.